Hi, my name is Karen Fabian and I am the founder of Bare Bones Yoga, and I want to first of all say Happy New Year. I was inspired to make this video today on January 1st, 2018, New Year's Day, about a half an hour ago, so it's pretty spontaneous, completely unscripted, but I was at the gym and I was listening to a podcast, and I had also earlier in the day listened to and watched a TED Talk. And between those two things, I was inspired to leave you a New Year's message. So in the TED Talk that I was listening to, the content had to do with what motivates people to stay healthy. And specifically, the person was talking about exercising and how exercise and our motivation to exercise is very much shaped by our perception. And she talked about a study she did where she asked two groups of people to estimate how long it was to run to a particular point. And she had a finish line sign, and they examined each participant, and those who were less fit interpreted or perceived the distance to be further than those who were fit. And it got me thinking about how much of an impact the mind has on our motivation to exercise, and how on this day in particular, how so many of us are probably making wellness goals that either involve our weight, our exercise schedule, may involve going to the gym or yoga practice, eating healthy, meditating more, any number of different things to help us get healthier. And then I was also listening to a podcast which talked about what can you do in your area of expertise to shake things up. And so between those two things, I came up with an idea, and I wanted to share it with you while it was fresh in my mind. So for those of you who have stayed connected with me over the years, my website is barebonesyoga.com, and I'm a yoga teacher for many years, and I specialize in teaching anatomy. And my specialty and my passion is teaching teachers about anatomy, and specifically ways that we can make anatomy understandable to our students, and also how we can apply anatomy to practical aspects of teaching, rather than just learn anatomy, which is of course important, but rather than just learn all the pieces without ever really applying it. So that's my area of expertise, and along with that, of course, for 15 years I've been teaching yoga classes to in public places and public studios and businesses and lots of different places. So along with teaching teachers yoga anatomy and providing a lot of content, and I've written some books and an anatomy manual and online courses specifically for teachers, I also love to teach public classes. And the reason I love to do that in large part is because I love to take my studies and bring them into what I consider the lab. And the lab is real life, and applying all this information to students, getting their feedback, seeing how it all works, seeing how I can, kind of test different cues that I'm doing and things like that. And getting feedback is also so important for me, so I can tweak what I'm doing, not only in terms of what I use in my training tools, but also what I use in my public classes. So with those two things in mind, I want to invite you this month, January, to one of two different things, depending on who you are. So if you're a yoga teacher, I'm going to invite you to my Yoga Anatomy Challenge, and this is going to be presented later this month, and it will specifically be designed for yoga teachers to test your knowledge on yoga anatomy. And I'll be presenting information and then testing. And I haven't worked out all the details, but again, this is a fresh idea that I've recently come up with, very recently. And in some ways, I wanted to give myself a little pressure by publicizing what I'm going to be doing, in the hopes that part of that pressure will motivate me to get it done. And so that's part one. Part two is going to be a yoga challenge. And this is really going to be designed for yoga practitioners, and especially people who want to start yoga and maybe haven't and are concerned about or afraid to begin a yoga practice. And so there really is going to be two paths here, something for yoga teachers and something for yoga practitioners of all levels, whether you're someone who's been practicing for a while or someone who is thinking about beginning. And, to kind of go back to the earlier part of this conversation when I talked about the TED Talks, both of these challenges are going to be designed so that they are easily consumable, meaning they're not going to be 30-day challenges. In fact, I might only have them be 3 or 4 days. I want it to be the kind of thing where your perception from the beginning is not that this is going to be completely insurmountable, but that it will be a digestible, easy to implement project. And that it may touch on some goals and some resolutions that you may have already set for yourself. So in the case of yoga teachers, maybe you're interested in making a greater impact on your students. Maybe you'd like to learn anatomy in a way that allows you to more easily communicate some of the key aspects of anatomy to your students without jumbling over your words or making it sound too complex. Or maybe you have a medical background from an occupation you've held in a clinical field, but haven't quite figured out yet how to share that medical and clinical knowledge about the human body and the anatomy and the biomechanics in a way that the general public can understand. So my anatomy challenge is going to be focused on sharing information in an understandable way so that you can make a bigger impact on your students. As far as the yoga challenge, that's really focused, as I said, on people who want to learn yoga, as well as people who maybe have been practicing for a while and are looking to kickstart their practice. And the idea there is to make the practice understandable. And there's many different ways to present it, but this will really be a way that is highly accessible without Sanskrit words, without chanting, without really a heavy-duty focus on the spiritual aspect of the practice, and will instead focus, at least for the beginning of this challenge, on the physical aspect of the practice. And I can say for myself, my teaching over the years, I've found that one of the best ways to introduce the spiritual aspect of yoga to anybody is to channel that through the physical. One of the examples I give when I'm working with new teachers is that I find it's really difficult to talk to students about even just the practice of breathing, which is of course so central to yoga, if they're in that first downward facing dog and feeling very, very uncomfortable. And if you've done downward dog, you know it's a pretty strenuous pose, and you need to understand what the key things are you should be doing in that pose in order for you to feel more comfortable. And it's really difficult if someone is encouraging you to breathe and to relax when you're in this posture that's very challenging. So my approach is going to be highly accessible way to access the power of yoga. And if you have practiced yoga before, I'm sure you know that it can be a very impactful way to stay healthy. So, having said all that, what I'd invite you to do is visit my website in the next couple of days. The website is barebonesyoga.com. And on my website, when you first visit, you're going to be presented with a number of different things you can download. One's a practice video, and 2 downloads are for yoga teachers. Once you get to the website homepage, there are some other downloads about anatomy and a yoga teacher download about building yoga sequences. And I invite you to download one of these things, first of all, because I put them there so that people have things that they can download for free that might meet a need or an interest that they have in yoga, yoga practice, or yoga teaching, or yoga anatomy. But also, when you download one of those things, I'll email it to you, and then you'll be on my VIP list. And once you're on my VIP list, you'll be the first person, or one of the first people, all my VIP customers will first find out about these two challenges. So the Yoga Anatomy Challenge and the Yoga Practice Challenge. So I'm doing this video here today on January 1st to set a commitment for myself to get both of these projects done in January, and also to invite you to download one of my free pieces of content on my website, barebonesyoga.com, so that you're going to be among the first people to be notified about when these challenges kick off. So having said that, I know this is a lot, I want you to just take a moment, and I'm going to invite you here to just close your eyes for a second. I'm going to do it too. So we're going to close our eyes together, take a very deep breath in, and a very long breath out. And I want you to just think of one word that inspires you, not for the whole year, but just for the month of January. It could be something that speaks to one of the goals that you've set. It could be something that just speaks to your heart. And just take a moment and see if something pops up for you. Okay, open your eyes. So I'm going to share with you what came up for me. And the word that came up for me is vision. And, you know, for me, this time of year is a very powerful time. And I really, really believe in thinking ahead and having vision to see what you want your life to look like and what you want your future to look like. And that what it ends up looking like is not an accident. It's many times through the steps that you take to create the kind of life you want. Now, having said all that, I'm also a firm believer in doing the work. So I'm not the kind of person that sits around and makes vision boards and does nothing else, or reads books on spirituality and doesn't put the work in to make things become a reality. And although I love doing those two things, I also firmly believe in the pragmatic route, that we need to take the inspiration from those activities, from those books and videos and different sources, and then we need to get real about what are the steps that we need to take to make those visions a reality. And my hope is that if you're watching this video and you'd like to introduce yoga into your life, or you'd like to master as a yoga teacher a little bit more about anatomy as a way to have a greater impact on your students by giving them more information, helpful information about the way the body works and effective cues when you're teaching, I hope that these two challenges that I provide this month will be able to help you create that vision as well. So visit my website, barebonesyoga.com, download whatever piece or multiple pieces of free content that you'd like. You'll be on my mailing list, and then you'll be among the first to be notified about the launch of these two special events in the month of January. So Happy New Year. I wish you much health, much love, much happiness, much success, and good luck in the coming year. Thank you for watching, and namaste.